Well, you know those terms and conditions many of us agree to without even reading them? Disney is trying to use them to fend off a wrongful death lawsuit.
There can't be anything in that agreement that allows a company to do what they're talking about to Kyle.
Because her husband had signed up for a Disney Plus subscription and used the My Disney account to buy tickets to Epcot.
I'm gonna click on decline.
You may have noticed clicking on this video two things. I'm talking about Disney, and also it looks like a possum has died on my head. Well, I was so excited to make this video that I've jumped straight out the shower without doing my hair with the Malfoy curtains. So at the minute, Disney, if you haven't heard, is trying to fight back a wrongful death lawsuit. All because the guy who's suing had a 3-month trial of Disney Plus. And no, you didn't mishear that. Disney is basically trying to weasel out of this lawsuit entirely because the guy used Disney Plus. Last year, Ganukthorn Tangsuan, she was having fun at Disney World with her family. And that's something that everyone likes to go to. You know, when you're a parent, one of the first things you take your kids to on holiday is Disney World. And as a parent, if you can't afford that, you just stick them on Fortnite so they can watch the Travis Scott concert. And as a family outing, they decided to dine at Disney Springs, which is a shopping complex owned by Disney. Now, not only can you shop here, but there's loads of places to eat as well, because as we know, when you go to Disney World, it's not just the theme parks, it is an entire experience. I mean, if you could afford it, you could basically live there. So she decided to eat at Raglan Road, which is an Irish-themed pub, except without all the drunken Irish people fighting each other. Now, Tangsuan actually had a severe allergy to tree nuts and dairy as well, so she needed special accommodation to make sure, you know, she can eat something without dying, because as you know, loads and loads of foods, even though they might not give you an allergic reaction, they're made in the same factory where other things are involved. Like, for example, you know, if you look at the back of packaging, it'll say this will contain milk, wheat, soya, because even though that product might not give you an allergic reaction, they don't want to get sued into oblivion just in case you have one. Now, usually when you go to a restaurant, they always say, you know, any dietary requirements. I'm not sure why, this might just be a UK thing, but it's like after you order the food, they then ask if you've got any dietary requirements or allergies, and it's like, well, no, because I've just ordered the food. Then again, that being said, I guess it does kind of make sense because you could order something like a steak. I mean, I always order a steak no matter what restaurant I go to because I'm a filthy little Tory. And then they might say, oh, we've got like a peanut paste on that. You might die. Now, she did this based on looking at the website, and the website does specifically say, if you've got any allergies, please inform someone. But unfortunately, despite taking all those precautions, Tangsuan had a severe allergic reaction, and she had severe anaphylaxis. That's like a really dangerous allergic reaction, and she passed away. She passed away when she actually made it to the hospital. They even gave her an EpiPen for a reaction, but it was too late. Now, a few months later, the husband, Jeremy Piccolo, decided to sue Disney, which is totally fair. I mean, you know, you took every precaution you could, and you were basically still poisoned anyway. So he tried to sue them for wrongful death and get around $50,000. And by the way, can we like appreciate how $50,000 is not a lot of money for like, you know, your spouse dying? Usually when cases like this come out, they want 5 million, 50 million, 500 million, especially because Disney is a multi-billion-dollar company. They're basically one of the biggest entertainment companies on the entire planet. So only wanting 50,000, like that is basically spare change underneath Disney's couch. Now, what would Disney do in this situation? Would they just fork over the 50K? No. You know why? Because if they do that, they then set a precedent, and anyone else that has a similar situation at Disney World, they'll then have to start paying them out. They're not worried about how much they need to pay Piccolo, but more that it's going to start a chain reaction where they could lose more and more money. Now, Disney have done something really, really evil. They're basically saying that Piccolo can't sue them because he got a trial of Disney Plus. So he got a free trial all the way back in 2019, and they're basically specifying there, because he agreed to the terms of service, he agreed to the fine print stating that they can settle anything out of court. So you know how you get terms of service, right? You get it in like video games, media, streaming services, and it's like 205 billion pages. No one reads it. They purposely make it over encumbered, way too inflated, and they just mention so much stuff in like legal jargon that it's purposely meant to make you disinterested, so you just scroll to the bottom and then tick the box. That happens with pretty much any game you buy that has like an online component, stuff like that. No one really reads it unless you're like a lawyer like Saul Goodman.
Times like this, we ask ourselves deep questions. Is there a God?
So you just, you know, tick it, and then you get to the thing that you actually paid for. And Disney full on knew this because, again, I'm reading this, and he basically can't sue them because he got Disney Plus, because it makes them exempt for like any kind of legal proceedings. Now, for context, Disney Springs is owned by Disney, obviously, but that doesn't mean that every single business inside of it is Disney's property. And that could be the reason why, for this Raglan Road case, Disney is trying so hard to deflect it and make it out to be something that they can't even legally deal with. Now, due to the rising rates of food allergies emerging, it is a lot of people now. Restaurants are thankfully slowly starting to implement allergen info for customers. Now, that could be just, you know, making a unique menu for someone with specific allergies, or maybe just adding little symbols to notify people like, yes, this item has something that people could be allergic to, like these nuts. Now, surprisingly, this actually isn't a legal requirement in places like America. It's only like, you know, just to be nice and, you know, not kill customers. But for food that is actually FDA approved, that does have to have a list of allergens. That is a crazy excuse though. Like, they don't think to say, oh, you didn't read the instructions properly, or, you know, this or that. They literally are trying to weasel out of it because he has Disney Plus. That is some Black Mirror level stuff. Now, the worst thing about this, because this is Disney, obviously, this isn't the first rodeo of them just being, you know, complete scumbags. Like, for example, the times that they've messed with public domain and precious IPs from public usage, or their treatment of actors and writers during last year's WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes. I think one of the worst things to tell that this is a very bad situation is when you search Disney injury lawsuits, the law firms are dedicated to helping people sue against Disney. So this isn't examples. This is websites trying to help you how to sue Disney. Keep in mind as well, that is Disney World. There's Disneyland. There'll probably be a Disney Universe at some point. Now, if I sat here talking about every single Disney lawsuit, this video wouldn't be around 20 minutes. It'd be around 20 hours. So what I wanted to do is handpick some of the worst lawsuits that Disney have ever been involved in. Now, it is no surprise that Tangsuan's death is not the first to be recorded at Disney World. They've had various deaths from rides or transportation, and to be fair, theme parks can be very dangerous places. You know, I'm a bit of a sweeaboo. I go to Stockholm a fair bit, but there's a theme park in Stockholm called Gröna Lund, and last year there was actually a huge accident there, which led to 3 people falling out, a woman dying, and 9 other people being injured. I'm telling that story, by the way, because theme park accidents with the roller coasters and stuff are incredibly common, unfortunately. So I'm not saying that it is just Disney that has these issues, but there was an example in 2006 where a 4-year-old died of cardiac arrhythmia. That was while riding the Mission Space ride. The parents noted that there actually wasn't a defibrillator anywhere near the ride, and Disney ended up settling the lawsuit privately with the family. Although these aren't deaths, some people as well at Disney have been sued over injuries on certain rides. There's 2 lawsuits from 2 different women claiming that the 214-foot long ride, Humunga Kawabunga, that is the actual name, by the way. Apparently, that water slide caused very painful wedgies. And then they also claimed that the wedgies were more hurtful to women versus a man. Now, basically, the lawsuit was trying to say that Disney didn't give any kind of like protective clothing or accessories to stop your gooch being It's just a lawsuit over wedgies, man. Like, how? How are they doing a lawsuit over wedgies? There's also another lawsuit that a woman made when she sued Disney for $3 million for getting a brain injury on Space Mountain. Now, I went to Disney World in LA like years and years ago, and I went on Space Mountain. That ride is fun, but getting a brain injury from it, not fun. Apparently, her head was violently struck by a low concrete ceiling due to the ride malfunctioning and being moved into the repair tunnel. And then there's more ridiculous lawsuits, like, for example, the guy who sued Disney because he was left stranded in the It's a Small World ride. Even the mascots aren't safe. You know the little guys walking around in the suits that are basically being paid minimum wage to have thousands of greasy kids run up to them and be like,
Just take a picture with me, please, please.
like, honestly, if you work as one of those like Disney mascots, you need like a veteran's discount, because I've seen so many examples of people being weird with the mascots, especially the ones dressed up as women. A lot of people think that they can just walk up to, like, you know, Cinderella and just start rizzing her up. There was even one lawsuit a woman made where she claimed that Goofy permanently injured her because when she went to tie her shoes, he walked into her, which caused her head to fall into hard cement.
Look, Goofy, I'm Mickey's best lawyer, okay? He wanted me on this case because he cares about you.
I'll fucking do it again.
Okay, Goofy, do you want to go to jail?
Nope.
Do you want to go to a psychiatric ward?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Then you say that you're not guilty. You didn't do it.
But
okay?
I did.
Or a lawsuit on how Donald Duck, the mascot, may have groped a woman's breast. There's even an instance where someone in a Tigger costume was on trial for molesting a 13-year-old girl. Now, that case actually came out to be not guilty, but again, that is a wild sentence that you would not imagine to be reading when going to Disney World. And of course, a company that gets that monolithic in size, they're going to have lawsuits from people that used to work there. So Disney, yes, even has ops on the inside. Now, one of the lawsuits lawsuits against Disney is when it comes to its workers was there was a group of employees who were asked to move from California to Florida. But those plans were halted after Disney's fight against Governor Ron DeSantis. Now, people were rightfully angry that they basically had to uproot their life in Cali to then move to Florida. Disney basically wanted them to move over there so they could collaborate with the team more frequently. And there was even another lawsuit saying that the Disney employees had to supply their own tools and equipment as they worked in various Disneyland hotels. By the way, I know Cali, for the most part, is just an absolute cesspit, but one good rule that they have, thankfully, is if you get paid minimum wage and you have to bring your own tools, the minimum wage has to be double as a legal requirement. And this was already going down when there was another separate lawsuit going against Disney where 9,000 women tried to sue Disney for various gender wage gaps. One thing I do love talking about all of this negativity, Disney World's tagline is, the official tagline, the happiest place on earth. Overall, very brave statement incoming. Big company, le bad. Big company, le greedy. Your wife died at Disney, you get no money because you had Disney Plus. Again, I do think 50,000 to Disney is nothing. They probably make that like just while I was saying the last sentence alone. But obviously it's more the fact that if they pay out this 50K to this guy, that opens up the floodgates and people are going to retroactively use that. It's like, oh, well, my wife or my partner died because of something similar. Oh, I'm going to sue you as well because you let this guy sue you. You paid out this guy. Now you got to pay out me. It's setting that precedent, which they don't want to do. It just shows how disgusting the company can be, trying to use Disney Plus as a way to get out of paying someone because their spouse died. It's like, also, what is there to watch on Disney Plus? The Acolyte? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Don't use Disney Plus. Yeah, I was going to say use another streaming service, but there is actually nothing to watch at the minute. It's an actual drought.